One of the most addicting fighting genres for me is the little-known Japanese genre called Bancho. If you're not aware of it by name, then you should be aware of it by what it entails. Warring gangs of teenagers battling it out. I think most people would be familiar with this through anime such as Tokyo Revengers being the biggest example perhaps. And I came across this by accident, actually, as a recommendation that appeared on my YouTube feed for, in particular, the movie Crow Zero. Now, I'm going to assume most of you have never heard of this movie, nor who any of the actors are or the characters that they play. So, suffice it to say, from this fight clip, I was immediately hooked. The reason being was that Crow Zero and the other Bancho franchises that I've seen since that one carry a whole different level of mixture between authenticity and brutality and coolness. The fight scenes look like they're actually trying to beat the literal hell out of each other. And moreover, nearly all the main actors are also pretty boys who are getting seriously fucked up. This is not the CW or Hollywood where the main protagonist is an attractive person who may only get a scratch or a bruise or perhaps a little bit of blood here and there. This is pretty much all out, and it looks like these people really got the hell beat out of them. As I said on one of my other YouTube channels, it's like if you took the actors from the CW, or Disney for that matter, put them into a ghetto gang-ridden high school with little to zero adult supervision, and then watched them fight it out. The fight sequences in these movies range between authentic, brutal smash-mouth street fighting to some martial arts tricks here and there, without the flair or fancy stances. The actors also bring their A game to these battles, especially when they do the classic mass gang charge. It's like watching an old samurai movie without the swords, and maybe that's what they're aiming for. I don't know, but it's hilarious to watch, kind of ridiculous, and also somehow kind of cool looking. My understanding is that this genre was based off a problem that Japan had during the 70s and 80s of gangs of youth hoodlums causing problems. Now, I've never read anything about mass street battles happening in real life that is often depicted in these movies, but for certain there were smaller scale fights, robberies, and even motorcycle gangs. The creator of Tokyo Revengers is even said to have brought his own experience as a gang member into his stories for the show, minus the isekai stuff, of course. The plots are often contrived, to be honest. The Crows franchise was just about who was going to control the gang-ridden school of Suzerain. The High and Low franchise was about a running story involving several youth gangs versus the Yakuza and corporate powers. Tokyo Revengers was just about a guy who keeps traveling back in time trying to save his girlfriend while he was still a gang member in high school. You get the drift. The one through line through all of this seems to be, honestly, the lack of parental presence or any real adult authority whatsoever. The closest I saw was in the first Crow Zero movie, which featured a subplot of a cop and a Yakuza third rater who used to fight in the same school as teens, with the former trying to bust one of the current gang leaders in the school, and the latter trying to live out his youth through mentoring a rival to that same gang leader that he himself has chosen to mentor. Now, what I appreciate most, though, in these movies is the fluidity of the cinematography of these fights. The High and Low X The Worst franchise does this the best, I think, using sweeping, continuous long camera shots over chaotic battles in a large area, watching a bunch of teens just kind of beat the hell out of each other. I honestly don't know how you choreograph something like that, creating the legit feeling that this is more like a medieval battle than it is a bunch of dumbass kids fighting. And while it's completely ridiculous, as I said before, I have to admire the dedication of the crew and actors in delivering these cool looking yet equally brutal battles, which makes it the perfect brain rot flick for me that I want to watch when I don't want to think too much. Bancho is definitely a genre that I do not see taking off in the West either. The closest was Fight Club back in the 90s, and even that movie got flack. I think Westerners would be too afraid of inspiring real-life mass battles and violence in schools that are already struggling with shootings and cyberbullying and teen suicide and whatnot. Still, it continues to be one of my favorite watches on Netflix when I can catch it. And I definitely recommend giving it a watch if you get the chance.